Good morning. Welcome to Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace. Welcome to the Soul of Sunday. We are Unitarian Universalists. Ours is a historic faith with a progressive theology. We affirm the worth and dignity of every being, and that we are all deeply interconnected. We are bound to one another not by creed, but by covenant. And we are called to answer the call of love with open minds, open hearts, and open hands. Whoever you are, those of all nations, all creeds, all colors, all kinds of love, you are welcome here. Dear ones, good morning from our beautiful sanctuary. As always, it's good to be together while apart. Please join me in thanking our amazing tech team for making this service possible. If you're new to Arlington Street, please take a moment now to fill out a connection card. The link is in the chat. Since I can't greet you in person after the service, I'd love to follow up with a virtual hello. You are welcome here.
Good morning. It's a joy to be here with all of you, the tech team, and our staff musicians this morning. It's a gray, sort of hopeful day. The sun is looking to bust through the clouds here in Boston, and what has to be, and what is the final Sunday, what has to be the longest February of our lives. I'm sure many of you feel the same way. If you haven't downloaded today's order of service already, it's available in the chat and on our homepage at ascboston.org. All of the hymn lyrics are included in the order of service and will be posted in the chat so that we may sing together. There's also a link to Sermon Bingo on the homepage. Feel free to play along while Reverend Kim preaches. As we continue our greetings, let's all say hello in the chat and engage that Arlington Street spirit of welcome that transcends physical distance as we greet one another, heart to heart.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be your living sanctuary for you.
It is now time for our treasured ritual of sharing community candles of sorrow and joy. These candles were submitted on our website by the Friday evening deadline. If you didn't submit your candle and have a joy to share this morning or a sorrow, please wait until the third candle is lit, the silent candle, and then type your joy or sorrow into the chat. In addition to sharing our sorrows and joys this morning, let's reach out to one another in the week ahead, staying connected. May these times remind us how very precious this beloved community is. We need one another. Despite having to be apart, may we stay very close. And now, in the spirit of invocation, let's join in singing Sanctuary. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be your living sanctuary for you.
Some of us come today with heavy hearts. We open our hearts to you.
A Candle of Sorrow from Dan Muho. Sorrow for my sister Judy in Detroit. This week her doctors decided to stop all curative treatment for her cancer because of its life-threatening impact on her psychiatric meds. Now we are seeking palliative care options for her. May my little bird be lifted by warm spring winds. A Candle of Concern from Harriet Hury. A good friend in the disability activism community alerted me that, like much of Texas, the city of Memphis, Tennessee, is still suffering from serious power outages due to the recent winter storms, as well as living with a boil water order in place due to contaminated water supply. Over 90,000 individuals are infected. Especially impacted are the disabled who rely on electrical service for access in high-rise buildings, power chair charging, and ventilators. Let's share with them our hearts, our love, and our prayers for water and power. Our final candles are candles of sorrow and remembrance from Bob Sessions and from the ASC community at the loss of poet, artist, founder of City Lights Publishers and Booksellers, and absolute counterculture legend Lawrence Ferlinghetti, who passed away on Monday at his home in San Francisco at the age of 101. He championed the work of multitudes of artists and writers, including Allen Ginsberg, Gary Snyder, Diane DePrima, Bob Kaufman, and other beat writers, but did not consider himself among them, saying, "When I arrived in San Francisco in 1951, I was wearing a beret. If anything, I was the last of the bohemians rather than the first of the beats. In some ways, what I really did, was mind the store." And that he did, envisioning the bookstore as a center of intellectual activity. And City Lights served as a salon for those writers and artists, and as a pilgrimage for those eclectic souls at the edge of the mainstream. Bob Sessions recalls, I somehow stumbled across Ferlinghetti's A Coney Island of the Mind as a ninth grader in Milledgeville, Georgia. My worldview was broadened and shaken virtually overnight, and for that I'm eternally grateful. For Reverend Kim, for myself, for Bob, and for many others, we say, Lawrence Ferlinghetti, presente.
Presente.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
And some of us come today in joy. We share your joy.
A Candle of Joy from Queen Cheryl for my friend Carol, an Episcopal priest who just finished preaching her last sermon about an hour ago and is retiring after over 40 years in ministry. In the words of Jesus, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant." Our final candle of joy is from Jeffrey Hale. Happy, happy, happy birthday to my wonderful friend Karen Manulis. May all your birthday wishes come true, and may the next year be filled with laughter, good health, and adventure. Amen to that.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a
joys we hold in our hearts, we light a silent candle to remember and to rejoice. May the peace of this sanctuary enter into our hearts as we share a quiet moment together, breathing our prayers for ourselves, for one another, for our country, and for the world. Amen.
Please join us in saying our affirmation and covenant together. It's printed in the order of service and in the chat. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to speak our truths in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de nuestra congregación. El servicio es nuestro regalo. Esto es a lo que nos comprometemos, convivir en paz, hablar nuestras verdades con amor y ayudarnos los unos a los otros.
There was a time I believed life was over for me. There was a time I believed my life was over. I feel strong today, thanks to your help. I find my way. I too will lend you a hand when you need one. Sometimes I get so down, I feel like this is the end. Like there's no way in hell I can get over this mountain. The sun has come out beyond the shadow of my doubt. I am walking on this earth stronger than ever. There was a time I believed there'd be no love for me. There was a time I believed I'd get no loving. I feel love today, thanks to your help. I find my way, and I too will lend you a hand when you need one. Sometimes I get so down, I feel like this is the end. Like there's no way how I can get over this mountain. The sun has come out beyond the shadow of my doubt. I am working on this earth stronger than ever. There was a time I believed there'd be no money for me. There was a time I believed there'd be no money. I feel rich today, thanks to your help. I find my way, and I too will lend you a hand when you need one. Sometimes I get so down, I feel like this is the end. Like there's no way how I can get over this mountain. The sun has come out beyond the shadow of my doubt. I am walking on this earth stronger than ever. There was a time I believed there'd be no peace for me. There was a time I believed there'd be no peace. I feel peace today, thanks to your help. I find my way. I too will lend you a hand when you need one. Sometimes I get so down, I feel like this is the end. Like there's no way how I can get over this mountain. The sun has come out beyond the shadow of my doubt. I am walking on this earth stronger than ever. I am walking on this earth stronger than ever. I am walking on this earth stronger than ever.
Loneliness is grief distended. Jill Lepore, writing for The New Yorker, is speaking. Plenty of people like to be alone. I myself love to be alone, she continues, but solitude and seclusion, which are the things I love, are different from loneliness, which is a thing I hate. We hunger for intimacy, she continues, we wither without it. Loneliness is a state of profound distress. In the United States, before the 20th century, only about 1 in 20 people lived alone. Now, 1 in 4 people lives alone. Radio, TV, and the internet all made it possible, though some would say that Facebook monetized loneliness. So-called professional opinions are all over the place. Some say the success of social media was a product of the epidemic of loneliness. Some say it was a contributor to it. Some say it's the remedy for it. Everyone agrees, though, that there's an epidemic of loneliness, and it's only getting worse. Even before the pandemic, more than 3 out of 5 adults in the United States were either mostly lonely or always lonely. Loneliness takes a physical toll. It can make us feel colder than those around us. It can increase our blood pressure and cholesterol. It degrades our immune system. It makes us anxious and disrupts our sleep. And it has a nasty way of leading us to addictive, self-destructive behaviors. Its effects on our health have been compared to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. John Cacioppo, known as Dr. Loneliness, explains that in order to survive, primates need to belong to an intimate social group. This is especially true for humans, since historically, humans we don't know might very well kill us. To this day, being separated from your people, either finding yourself alone or finding yourself with those who don't know and understand you, triggers a fight or flight response. John Cacioppo explains that your body reads being alone as being with strangers, as being an emergency. Over millennia, this hypervigilance in response to isolation became embedded in our nervous system to produce the anxiety we associate with loneliness. We act fearful, defensive, and self-involved, all of which drive away people who might actually want to help us and tend to stop us from the very thing that would end our loneliness: reaching out to others. Another tragedy of loneliness is that lonely people can't see that lots of people feel the same way they do. Many years ago, Unitarian Universalist theologian Dr. Tandeka spent an evening with members of a church who were interested in starting a program of small group gatherings in which people would meet regularly to share deeply on different topics as a spiritual practice. At some point, she asked them if they might be willing to talk about their unmet needs for community. Dr. Tandeka writes, one of the most respected elders of the church stood up and slowly walked to the front of the assembly, faced them, and said he was interested in joining such a group. He had wanted something like this for years because he was lonely. He concluded, "I do not have any friends." Waves of shock rolled through the room. How could he be lonely? He was a revered and beloved member of the congregation, a pillar of the church. He spoke again. Every man in this room who is my age knows what I'm talking about. Our social upbringing taught us not to talk about our feelings. We are not supposed to be emotionally vulnerable or close to anyone. Vivek Murthy, the US Surgeon General from 2014 to 2017, wrote a book called Together: The Healing Power of Human Connections in a Sometimes Lonely World. I was deeply touched by an interview he gave on the Greater Good podcast of the University of California at Berkeley. He himself was a very shy and lonely child. He dreaded going to school. He dreaded the cafeteria and the playground. And to make it worse, he felt shame about his loneliness. And somehow he thought he was the only one. And then he became a doctor. He says, I wasn't prepared to see so many patients who would come in alone, and at critical moments when we had to have a really tough conversation with them about a new diagnosis or about a treatment decision, I would ask, is there somebody you'd like to call? And they would say, you know, I wish there were, but there's nobody. I was seeing a profound problem, he says, but did not have the tools to know how to respond to it or how to help. And that felt bad. And so Vivek Murthy created an inoculation against loneliness, just this, a quick conversation with someone, anyone, about something for which they feel grateful, a gratitude practice. He asked the person to tell him a few things for which they're grateful, to share some points of light. It's quick, 5 minutes even, and Dr. Murthy tries to simply listen and be fully present. What's really striking to me is, number one, he says, I just feel better about the world, having the chance to focus on what's positive. Hearing what's going on well and going on in their lives makes me feel better. And number two, I'm struck by how little time it takes. I think we might assume that if we really want to have positive interactions, we have to put like a whole hour aside to have a really thoughtful conversation. But just being fully present with somebody for a few minutes, we can actually stretch time. We can make 5 minutes feel like 30 minutes when we're both fully there. It's really the quality rather than the quantity of time you spend with people. My mood lifts, he continues. I feel less weighed down by the challenges I'm dealing with, even though the challenges haven't changed at all. I have more physical energy as well, and I notice that these positive effects last for many hours afterwards, and I look forward to the next conversation. The takeaway, reaching out to others, healing loneliness, doesn't have to be complicated. Here are some more ideas. Greet strangers. Get over the mask, say hello, and smile at people with your eyes. It's amazing that this helps, but it does. If you're a dog person or a baby person, say hello to their dog or their baby. Call a friend. If you can't think of a friend to call, choose someone who regularly comments on your Facebook or Instagram posts and ask them if you could call them just to say hello. Chat someone in our Zoom room right now and ask if they'd like to chat by phone this week. Call them. Then put it on your schedule and call them again. Join someone for a walk. One of my most extroverted friends noticed which neighbors were out walking and when. And one by one, she timed her walks to coincide. And as she just happened to be out at the same time, she greeted them by asking if she could join them for a few minutes. No one said no. She now has 1 hour walk scheduled throughout the week with something like 10 different neighbors. She says it's saving her. She also reached out to the daughter of a friend who has kids who are going to school online and offered to help. She now spends an hour a week walking with her friend's granddaughter, a high school student, talking current events and politics. Join your local mutual aid society. For this past year, we've been delivering meals to people who were laid low by the pandemic. One guy on our route had already been housebound after a terrible construction accident. His only face-to-face or mask-to-mask interactions are with us. Slowly but surely, instead of ring and run, I began ringing, leaving his meal, standing a safe distance back, and chatting with him when he came to the door. We started with the weather. He's a big fan of all kinds of weather. Now we're talking seed catalogs. He's working hard with a physical therapist on his goal to get out of the house this spring. He's completely delightful. And when I go on my way, I feel his delight lightening my heart. Take on your boredom. Loneliness and social isolation are made worse by boredom. After escaping into books, film, and TV, try to choose something to do that has a social aspect to it. If you like to sing, Arlington Street sings together every Sunday and every other Thursday evening. And you can go online to see if your favorite musicians are hosting virtual concerts. A friend who decided this is as good a time as any to learn ukulele, if not now, when? Watched some YouTube instructional videos, but realized it would be much more fun to join a class. Her instructor is approaching 100 years old. In the first class, they learned to play the iconic "How Much Is That Doggy in the Window?" It's utterly nerdy. She's having a blast, and she's not lonely. And finally, let us never underestimate the power of Zoom. I spend hours every week in the Arlington Street Zoom room. It occupies a huge, beautiful place in my days. I have it on good authority that there were those of you who not so long ago would have said no thank you to poetry, who are now the first with your virtual hands up to share a new poem that you found. Some of you who thought you could never sit still or quiet your mind enough to meditate wouldn't dream of missing our meditation gatherings. Whether or not you share at weekly tea party is not the point. Join in for the companionship, the tenderness, and the hilarity. There is absolutely no reason to be lonely when we can visit ascboston.org. The beloved community is a simple click of a link away. Actually, I want to toss in one more idea, one more stay against loneliness. I was inspired by columnist Thomas Farragher's story in last Saturday's Globe. The dateline is Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Here's his story. An icy darkness tightens its grip as we sit huddled under a tall, snow-crusted pine tree and a single skinny birch. It's freezing. But there is heat here and light. The heat comes from metallic propane heat lamps and a fire pit that have melted the snow in Nancy Clayberg's slick driveway. The light comes from the lively conversation among these friends and neighbors wearing down jackets and colorful scarves who have fashioned something strong and enduring and comforting. It's a sort of COVID salon that has rescued a few precious commodities from this deadly pandemic's merciless grip. Friendship, fellowship, a determination that disease cannot destroy the sturdy bonds that bind us. Ernie Greenslade lives nearby. He's become a driveway regular. I'm an extrovert, he says, to be able to have this opportunity to get together, to talk face to face with my neighbors. I mean, it's a lifesaver. His breath is visible in the air. At first, it was a place to gather and grieve. Nancy Clayberg's husband died on May 1st. Nancy, Portsmouth's former mayor, says people would call me to express their sympathy. I would say, why don't you come over and visit me? We can sit in the driveway. And so it began. They visited all summer and into the fall. And so it continued into the cold winter. Chairs, tables laden with food, coolers full of soda and beer, neighbors and friends of friends offering support and love. Todd Bohannon, whose fiance grew up 2 houses away, says, the act of sitting in a driveway is a little abnormal, but the social interaction feels normal, the catching up with each other about what's going on. And what about when this is all over? We joke about that, he says. We say, hey, we're still going to sit in Nancy's driveway, right? Because now we're all so connected to each other. We want COVID to go away, but we don't want this connection to go away. Beloved spiritual companions, may we choose to end loneliness. Share your gratitude. Greet strangers. Call a friend. Join someone for a walk. Give mutual aid. End boredom with something social. Zoom. Create a driveway salon. To close, in honor of Lawrence Ferlinghetti, these few lines from American beat poet Allen Ginsberg's song. The weight of the world is love. Under the burden of solitude, under the burden of dissatisfaction, the weight we carry is love. Who can deny? In dreams, it touches the body. In thought, constructs a miracle. In imagination, anguishes till born. The burden of life is love. But we carry the weight wearily, and so must rest in the arms of love at last. Must rest in the arms of love. Amen.
Sometimes I remember the old days when the world was filled with sorrow. You might have thought I was living, but I was all alone. In my heart the rain was falling, the wind blew and night was calling. Come back, I'm all you've ever known. Open the door and come on in. I'm so glad to see you, my friend. You're like a rainbow coming around the bend. And when I see you happy, well, it set my heart free. I like to be as good a friend to you as you are to me. There are friends who could always see me through the haze. Their smiles would reach me, saying okay, saying goodbye, saying hello. Soon I knew just what I was after was life and love, tears and laughter. Hello, my good friend. Hello, my darling. What do you know? Open the door and come on in. I'm so glad to see you, my to be as good a friend to you as you are to me. I used to think it was only me feeling alone, not feeling free to be alive, to be a friend. Now I know we'll have stormy weather, the sun shines through when we're together. I'll be your friend right through to the end. Open the door and come on in. I'm so glad to see you, my friends. You are like a rainbow coming around the bend. And when I see you happy, well, it set my heart free. I like to be as good a friend to you as you are to me. Open the door and come on in. I'm so glad to see you, my friend. You're all like rainbow coming around the bend. And when I see you happy, well, it set my heart free. I like to be as good a friend to you as you are to me.
Friends, our generosity continues to astound everyone. We are continuing to pay our staff and maintain our building, even when most of us cannot be here. Like Jill Lepore, the New Yorker columnist Reverend Kim quoted in her sermon, I'm someone who loves solitude but hates loneliness. And I know that for many of us, keeping loneliness at bay through these long pandemic months has been made possible in large part by our presence in each other's lives. There are one or two gatherings here in the Arlington Street Zoom room every day. During this time of forced separation, which could have destroyed us both as individuals and as a community, we have demonstrated an extraordinary devotion to showing up, deepening our relationships, making new friends, walking together, and flexing our resilience muscles on this wild patch of the spiritual journey. I'm grateful to each and every one of you. We are doing this hard thing beautifully. Please take a moment now to join me in giving to sustain this beloved spiritual community by filling our virtual collection plate. I am having quite a morning here. I'm okay. You can text the word GIVE, G-I-V-E, to 617-300-0509. Scan in the QR code in the order of service. Visit our homepage at ascboston.org and click on the yellow Donate Now button, or write a check and send it to Arlington Street Church. Thank you for your generosity. After you make your gift to sustain our beloved community, please continue to share in the chat what inspires you during these difficult days.
Good morning, everyone. I'm back home on the Oregon coast, reunited with my childhood piano, which I'm excited to play for you this morning. The song Help by the Beatles. I think everyone knows it. And please sing along if you'd like. Help, I need somebody. Help, but not just anybody. Help, you know I need someone. Help, when I was younger, so much younger than today. Never needed anybody's help in any way. But now those days are gone, I'm not
you, Tevin, and thank you to the ASC community. You all inspire me as well. There's more than a lot going on this week in the ASC Zoom room. Please go to our homepage at ascboston.org for details. In addition to our weekly gatherings for loving kindness, meditation, poetry, a tea party, yoga, and writing, Gay Men's Coffee Connections meets tomorrow at 5. The conversation prompt is, what movie or television show is one of your favorite depictions of a gay romance? Tomorrow evening, all interested newcomers are warmly invited to meet Reverend Kim and members of our membership team. We call this our Spiritual Journeys class, sharing our stories of what brought us to Arlington Street. And it's a great opportunity to ask your burning questions. On Thursday night, it's Song Share with our Director of Music, Mark David Buckles. And on Friday evening, there's an Arlington Street Church social gathering. Again, please visit ASC Boston for information on everything going on. All are always welcome. This is our final Sunday of sharing our collection plate with the Unitarian Universalist Urban Ministries Renewal House. For over 40 years, Renewal House has provided temporary emergency shelter and advocacy services to individuals and families escaping domestic violence. Renewal House was one of the first domestic violence shelters in the state to provide shelter for male as well as female survivors, and is sought out by other agencies for its expertise in attending to the spiritual needs of survivors. Renewal House works closely with other programs that serve the LGBTQIA communities, as well as those that serve elders and individuals with disabilities to support those underserved populations. Among its many programs, Renewal House offers a 24-hour hotline, bilingual Spanish and English advocacy, support groups and pastoral counseling, English as a second language classes, and job training, and community outreach education. Please make your gift to Share the Plate. Please text the amount you want to give and the word SHARE to 617-300-0509. Detailed instructions are in the chat. I'm not picking that card up again. Thank you for your generosity. Please unmute yourself for virtual coffee hour and enjoy the opportunity to visit in smaller groups in our breakout rooms. If you're new to Arlington Street, breakout room number 1 is just for you. Misty Hathaway and Tina Rose are hosting today. If you're a new friend of Arlington Street, please chat Cam at any time and tell her you'd like to go to breakout room 1 after the service today. Before we turn it over to Mark David and Julie for the closing hymn, thank you to all of you who joined in today's service and to all those who made it possible. Remember, we're all in this together.
And now for our closing hymn, How Much Is That Doggy in the Window? Just kidding. James Taylor's Shower of the People. I was listening to the sermon thinking like, why didn't we program How Much Is That Doggy in the Window? All right, this is a great one. We love singing it with you. Hope you'll sing along. You can play the game, you can act out the part, though you know it wasn't written for you. But tell me, how can you stand there with your broken heart, ashamed of playing the fool? One thing can lead to another. It doesn't take any sacrifice. Oh, father and mother, sister and brother, if it feels nice, don't think twice. Just shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna work out fine if you only will. Do as I say. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be much better if you only will. You can run, but you cannot hide. This is widely known. And what you plan to do with your foolish pride when you're all by yourself alone? Once you tell somebody the way that you feel, you can feel it beginning to ease. I think it's true what they say about the squeaky wheel always getting the grease. Better to shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be just fine if you only will. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be much better if you only will. Shower the people. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Shower. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Keep it going. They say in every life, they say the rain must fall, just like pouring rain. Make it rain. Make it rain. Love, love, love is sunshine. Make it rain. Love, love, love is sunshine. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. One more time. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel.
Before our benediction, I invite you to reach out your hands and touch the sides of your square. Touch hands with the people to your left and your right, and send out love to the person on either side of you and to the people on either side of them. Send out love into this beloved spiritual community and feel it coming back to you. Love is the spirit of this congregation. And now for our benediction, I invite you to put your hands over your heart in Namaste. I bow to the divine in you. Again, the words of Allen Ginsberg. The weight of the world is love. Under the burden of solitude, under the burden of dissatisfaction, the weight we carry is love. Who can deny in dreams it touches the body? In thought, constructs a miracle. In imagination, anguishes till born. The burden of life is love, but we carry the weight wearily, and so must rest in the arms of love. At last, must rest in the arms of love. Let us keep this faith, beloveds, and pass it on. The service begins when the service ends. Bless your hearts. I love you. Amen.
Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. For your fearful divine. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. See you next time.
Please visit ascboston.org for more information about this historic Unitarian Universalist congregation. Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace.